Hi guys, right, this is a little bit of an unusual video, but because there's quite a few quotes in this article, I thought that I would do it this way. But this has come from John Textor, who was speaking at a kind of like a video conference on the Financial Times, and he was talking about, among other things, his part ownership of Crystal Palace Football Club. Now, he did go on to say other things, which I'm not going to talk about here, but he did go on to say things like he's happy that even though his company owns 45% share of Crystal Palace, he says that he's happy for Steve Parish to be the one making the decisions, because he doesn't want to be the one making those decisions. He wants to just enjoy the football, which is fair enough. But he also goes on to talk about the financial fair play regulations and about how they're not geared up in the correct way. Now, because it says here, John Textor, who owns stakes in Lyon, clubs in Brazil, Belgium and the United States, thinks it's unfair that wealthy investors can't invest more money into their teams to compete with the established powers. He goes on to say, it's clear that the rules are built to make sure that clubs which do not drive significant revenues cannot catch up. It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion of cash in a wheelbarrow, you're not allowed to spend it. Does that make any sense? Well, he said the Forest owner has plenty of money to fund his team, but he's not allowed to. If he spends too much money and does what the fans want, somebody comes along and docks him points. That's not right. And of course, we also know about the issue with Everton, have also lost 6 points, reduced from 10 after an appeal and things like this. And also Nottingham Forest are also in trouble with that situation at the moment. Speaking at the Financial Times Business Football Summit, Textor said, financial fair play is a fraud of a term to say it's about sustainability. Sustainability should be about the quality of your balance sheet, not ratios against your profit and loss. There's nobody that actually thinks that makes sense. We've got 3 billionaires in our ownership group at Palace, maybe more. We're not allowed to spend at the level of the clubs that are in the top 6. Palace shareholder and general partner Josh Harris has no trouble with money. He just bought an NFL team. He owns the NBA franchise, the Philadelphia 76ers. But Palace chairman Steve Parish is not allowed to go out and spend that kind of money. He gets docked points and sent to the second division. And there are talks that Premier League clubs are going to be looking to introducing financial rules similar to UEFA's squad cost ratio, so that by 25-26 this will limit spending on wages, transfer fees and agent costs to 70% of the revenue for the clubs involved in European competitions. English clubs participating in Europe will have to follow this system, and the Premier League will keep discussing its own cost control rules, which would eventually replace the PSR. So it's interesting that John Textor feels that way. He's obviously not afraid to spend money. He's obviously worried, just as the other investors are, about the financial fair play regulations, and that may be why they're having to be so wise with their acquisitions, because obviously I guess they probably want to spend a lot more money than they do, but they just don't have the opportunity to. And I can understand where he's coming from. So let me know down in the comment section what you think, though. Let me know down in the comment section. Do you feel that the financial fair play regulations are good for the sport, or do you think that he's actually right, that it limits those smaller clubs from being able to try and match the big 6? Let me know down in the comment section.